Now in session for its regularly scheduled meeting of March the 1st, 2018. My name is Bill Herbert. I'll be presenting the cases to the board for their review in today's public hearing. At this time, please silence your phones and other devices so that the board meeting will not be interrupted. For today's public hearings, the board reviews the correspondence submitted in support of and opposition to these cases. The board also reviews correspondence and recommendations from other government agencies in the preparation for the hearings today. In today's hearings, staff will present the site plans, maps, photographs, and other documents that comprise the case record. At the conclusion of staff's presentation, the appellant will present his or her case to the board. After the appellant's presentation, the board will hear those wishing to speak in support of the appeal. If the appeal has opposition, the board will then hear from those parties. After the opposition presents its testimony, the appellant will have a period for rebuttal. Under BZA rules, the appellant has 5 minutes for presentation if no opposition is present. In contested cases, BZA rules allow 10 minutes for each side to present testimony. Should the appellant wish to provide rebuttal testimony, the appellant should reserve some portion of the allotted 10 minutes. At the conclusion of each hearing, the board will deliberate and then vote on the case. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases under the provisions of the Metropolitan Zoning Code, Section 17.40.180. All section numbers that we refer to today come from the Metropolitan Zoning Code, which applies to the entire jurisdiction of the metropolitan government. The zoning code was adopted by the Metro Council and became effective on January 1, 1998. I'll introduce the entire zoning code and make it part of today's record. The Metro Code requires a recording of these proceedings. Because the BZA meetings are recorded for Metro Channel 3, it's imperative that anyone addressing the board come forward and speak into the microphone. All speakers should identify themselves by name, address, and then make the desired presentation. The Metro Code requires 4 members of our 7-member board to establish a quorum. The code also requires at least 4 affirmative votes to grant the appeal. In the event that 5 or more members are present and the appeal fails to receive 4 affirmative votes, the case will remain on the board's agenda for the next 30 days. Applications that fail to receive 4 affirmative votes within 30 days of the public hearing shall be deemed denied by operation of law. Pursuant to board rules, an aggrieved party may appeal decisions to the Chancery Court within 60 days of the hearing date. Additionally, an aggrieved party may file a motion for a rehearing within 60 days of the original hearing date pursuant to the terms of the BZA rules and regulations. After that time elapses, the board's decision becomes final and no further action may be taken. If your appeal is granted, you are required to obtain the permit for which you applied. A permit must be obtained within 2 years for a board approval to remain valid. It should also be noted that if false or misleading testimony is presented to the board, any board approval could be revoked at a later date by means of a show cause hearing before the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Chairman, I'd submit that all cases have been filed in the proper order. All appellants have been notified by certified mail, and all legal notice requirements have been fulfilled. We do have a preliminary announcement. Case number 2018-33, located 204 Due West Avenue, has been withdrawn. So if you're here on that case has been withdrawn, and you may leave.
Does that mean we have to stay?
Sorry. The board has a consent agenda. One board member reviews the record for each case prior to the hearing and identifies cases where appellants have met the criteria for their requested action. If the reviewing board member determines that the testimony in the case would not alter the material facts, then that case is recommended to the board for approval. We will enter into the record those cases that have been recommended, and if anyone here is in opposition to any one of the cases, please raise your hand and the case will be removed from the consent agenda and then heard in its regular order. The first case that we have today for the consent agenda is case number 2018-023. It's at 608 McGavick Pike. It's a sidewalk variance request. For board members, The applicant has agreed to abide by the Planning Department's recommendations to construct a sidewalk across the street. Metro Stormwater and Metro Planning both agree to this and think that this is the best proposal, and the applicant has agreed to construct the sidewalk across the street. So I would suggest that a condition of that approval, if it stays on consent, is that the sidewalk be constructed across the street in accordance with Planning Department's recommendation.
Okay, we'll add that to the consent agenda as noted.
Yes. The next case for the consent agenda is case number 2018-035, located at 1035 40th Avenue North. This is the request for a front and rear sidewalk variance. And those are your cases for the consent. I would solicit a motion.
Okay, those have been properly moved to consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion about the cases from the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose. Passes unanimously.
Okay, if anybody was here, for you applicants that were here on the cases before the consent agenda, your case has now been approved. You're free to leave, and you may check with us as early as Monday to obtain your permit. Looking to see if we have any elected officials. I don't see any, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody want to run for something? Maybe? Okay. Mr. Herbert.
Okay, we will call our first case. The first case is case number 2018-015. This is Michael Lee, appellant, and Jean Lafitte Designs, LLC, owner of the property located at 1809 Delta Avenue, requesting a variance from sidewalk requirements in the R6 district to construct two single-family residences without building updated sidewalks. This is referred to the board under 1720.120. The appellant has alleged that the board would have jurisdiction under 17.40.180B.
So please come forward.
Have a seat. Please turn on your microphone.
Overhead shots are on the screen. There's a map of it. That's the location. Site plan?
Can you put the arrow up again?
Sure.
Okay. So that's Jones Padilla School in the left-hand corner.
Correct.
Can I share these with anyone if they want to see?
Sure.
These? This is two slides, I can look at them. That's the actual sidewalks.
Pictures of the construction in process.
One more.
And shot across the street, I assume. Down the streets, to the left and right. And that's pretty much it. Those are your pictures.
Welcome to the BZA. Please identify yourself and the address for the record.
Michael Lee, the addresses are 180579.
Your address, your.
4018 Valley Road, Nashville, 37205.
Before we get started, the Planning Commission has given us a recommendation, I'm not sure if you've seen it, to pay into the in lieu fund. Have you seen that?
Well, I have not seen the recommendation for that, no.
And what is your opinion on that?
Well, if you look at the sidewalks, the city paid to put these sidewalks in recently. The curb and gutter on them are in great shape.
Yes, just proceed with your case then.
So my case is I don't know why we would tear these sidewalks up. I would have to come in and chisel out 5 feet of sidewalks only to move that are relatively new all the way down to the end of the block from the alleyway where we're building. To tear that up, to move them back 5 feet to build, or 4 feet to build 5 feet of sidewalks, to have grass in between for that just area. And then if you look where, you've seen it. But in this particular case, and I've paid the in lieu fee on other projects, so I understand that. And with the in lieu fee being the way it is on other projects, if it's small and there's reasons for having to put box gutters in or whatever, it may not make sense, right? So it's better to pay the in lieu fee. In this particular case, so this is a great sidewalk. It's got drainage. I just think it's a waste of money for everybody involved to do so. And if there's an in lieu fee involved on that could be, I just see we have good sidewalks. It's hard for me to just understand why we'd want to tear those up to go put in a less sidewalk that's just going to be sitting back like this and tear up in time when the ground shifts. This is actually constructed really well, just because it's connected to the curb and gutter.
Do you know how
We're
that
going to
side-
pass codes on the sidewalks and do them the proper way. Don't get me wrong there, but I think that we're just, I don't know, we're tearing up a good sidewalk that you guys just put in.
Do you know how old that sidewalk is offhand?
It's less than 10 years is what I was told. But I don't know, that's from the codes guys.
I have a general question, but it sounds like you're a good person to ask because it sounds like you have a lot of experience in the side, you just mentioned this. But, if you were to move this sidewalk, because there are a lot of cases that we have where we have existing sidewalks that are wide and new and that kind of thing, and you think, man, if you chose to move it, how does it connect to the old sidewalk, and on whose property is that little connector? And then if the next door neighbor, all of a sudden decided they wanted to do something that caused them to have to build a sidewalk, who pays to connect that little piece in your property that, it seems like there's some logistical issues that relate to doing that
Right.
that don't seem to make a whole lot of sense. And
Because you would end up, because this is the corner on this side of the site plan, it's, we're looking at this from the back side of the alleyway. And then you end up with, if you move this back, you're going to tear this up, then we're going to end up in this lady's fence right here.
Right.
And then maybe this gal down here will get it and decide he wants to do something, then if he has to go through the same, if I have to go through it, then I don't know, we could connect it to the sidewalk here, then we could do another zigzag, we could do a zigzag. I mean, I wouldn't, but somebody else would be in the same boat.
so that photo just basically says that if you were to move the sidewalk to be fully compliant to Metro standards, it would dead end, at least in part, into the fence of the neighbor. Who has no obligation.
That's correct.
Who has no obligation or requirement to change your fence or his or her fence or.
Absolutely.
All right.
And there's kids right there at school. It's a nice wide fence. I don't see creating a issue for the students walking from the magnet school.
And I think that the planning department even said this was a 6 to 7 foot sidewalk, depending upon where you were in the block. I mean, it's not a small sidewalk.
No, it's very nice. Whoever put it in did a good job.
Any questions for the applicant?
We don't have any information in the file from your council person. Have you had any communication?
I've talked to Ed twice. He was going to go by before Christmas, then he was going to go by after Christmas, and I've not. I've reached back out to him. I've left him multiple messages at his home. It doesn't seem like he's in the office, and the lady in the office said always try his house.
Okay, anything else? Anything else to add?
Great sidewalk.
Great sidewalk. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing, and the applicant has the next case too, so discussion. So this is a case where we're now getting a lot of that, the planning department says pay into the in lieu fund, and the applicant saying, well, hey, this is a pretty new sidewalk. I don't think anyone's saying it's good to rip out this sidewalk. And as Mr. Taylor talked about, the connectivity issues with this grass strip and all of that. So it just comes down to, do you go along with Planning Commission's recommendation or not?
Well, I mean, I certainly agree with at least part of their recommendation, which is it makes sense to approve the variance. I mean, that was what they said. They recommended we approve the variance because the sidewalk is adequate. And I think that's the words they had there. The second part of the recommendation is that they should have to pay, and that's the piece that I have a little bit of a trouble with on cases like this. I mean, I think there are, cases where you have, there's some inadequacy. Maybe it's it's much, much older.
Or no sidewalk.
Well, or you're right, or no sidewalk at all, and there's no gradient in the in lieu fund. I mean, you're basically paying for what you'd have to pay to put in drainage and curbs and all that other stuff, and there's just something about it that seems wasteful to have to to have to do it, but then there also seems to be something that is an unnecessary burden to be required to pay into the fund with a relatively new city-built sidewalk that dead end, that if you were to comply would dead end to the fence next door. I think this is a case where I'm not the neighbors. It's my opinion, but for projecting onto what I would think if I lived on that street, I wouldn't want that bump out. I don't think it enhances this. It wouldn't enhance the sidewalk on my street. And if there was no sidewalk, I think it would be a great addition. But I don't know. I think if the planning department recommends approval, then the fee part seems punitive.
I don't disagree. In the past, John has explained to us the pedestrian benefit zone, and I don't have my notes in front of me to know if I'm speaking of that accurately, but isn't there a reason that people pay into the in lieu fund even though they might have an adequate sidewalk, and it has something to do with that pedestrian benefit?
That's correct. The funds, the funds would go into the pedestrian benefit zones. There are different zones, I think 16 maybe. And so the funds would go toward that zone for sidewalks to be installed in that zone, even if they're not installed at this particular site. They would be installed in the zone where that site is contained.
Well, if this sidewalk is relatively new, then that means this neighborhood has already benefited from someone else paying into the in lieu fee. And so, in a sense, they won the lottery in that they've got a sidewalk, and the in lieu fee is all about paying for the streets that don't have new construction, but they still need sidewalks. So this is the way that the council has figured out that here's how we're going to spread the benefits of new construction. Even when there's not new construction, people still need sidewalks. So I tend to favor the paying the in lieu fee on this one.
Well, does anyone have a motion?
I move that the applicant that the variance is denied and that the applicant
The variance is allowing the sidewalk to remain and not build another one.
If you wanted planning's I don't agree with the motion, but if you want I think the motion, which is fine, but the motion that I think is to approve to approve the variance with the condition that they pay into the fee is what the planning wanted.
right, and I guess in a sense they would still have the right to go back and to build the sidewalk if they wanted to.
Right.
So I will make the motion. I'll move that that we grant the variance per the recommendation of planning with the condition that the applicant pay the in lieu fee.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-1. Bill, next case.
Can I respond for 2 minutes to that conversation?
Well, you could talk about it in your next case, which...
No, I guess we're coming up next to that,
Yes.
right? So,
Okay, so the next case, 2018-016, Michael Lee, appellant, and John Lafitte Designs LLC, owner of the property located at 1805 and 1807 Delta Avenue, requesting a variance from the sidewalk requirements in the R6 district to construct 2 single-family residences with outbuilding updated sidewalks. It's referred to the board under Section 1720.120. The appellant has alleged the board would have jurisdiction under 1740.180B. Is there any opposition here to this case? Seeing none. Stephan, do you have?
That's the same pictures.
Okay, all right. Mr. Lee, it's all yours.
so I guess at the end of the day, for what you guys have just said, it's going to be the same for that. So we're going to, and I've paid multiple fees in lieu fees, so I've certainly paid for lots of sidewalks already in the city, but now that we've changed it last July to 170 plus a linear foot, it makes more sense to tear this up. So, and forgive me, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be a smarty pants by any means. I'm just trying to decide. So we've decided it makes more sense that I can tear these up, build these cheaper, move it back, make it more of an effort for the children to have to walk around someone's edge of their fence to put a zigzag connecting back to that parking lot, or back to that sidewalk of a new sidewalk, because it's cheaper for me to do that than it would be to keep the sidewalk and pay an in lieu fee. That's what we're all voting on, right? I just want to make sure everybody's seeing it the way I see it.
Well, I think you heard what the discussion was. You did not mention that it would cost you less to build the sidewalk than to pay into the in lieu fee in your earlier presentation. So is that what you're saying in this case?
Well, yes, because you ruled on it and I couldn't say anything back.
Yes, but I want to make sure I understand. So it costs less to comply with planning's recommendation. That's your choice, whether you do that still.
Right. I just see it as an inconvenience to the children walking by, but that's, it's y'all's decision. I appreciate your time.
We've had Michael Briggs from, I guess, the planning department in here explaining to us on other cases how you can make that transition. He had 2 ways in which you can make a transition from a new sidewalk to an existing sidewalk, and I couldn't speak that language, but you could coordinate with him, and I'm sure you have to coordinate with Metro anyway. But there are ways to make that transition.
Well, and I've been on this board about, I don't know, a long time, at least 5 years, and we only started hearing these things in the summer.
Right.
When the new bill passed, and it passed overwhelmingly, I think unanimously by the council. And so what we get are all the same thing with short-term rentals, which we're kind of thrust upon the board by the council. And so you get all the exceptions and the strange cases, and there's not a lot of guidance from the council on it because it's still a relatively new law, and yet it's pretty clear what they said they wanted. But then so I just recommend to everybody, especially in cases like this, that to go back and talk to the council members to try to clarify for us, but they don't give us a whole lot of wiggle room. And
right.
And yet we see time and time again where for many, if not most cases, the fee is fairly excessive, and that they don't have a layered approach to it. So.
Well, in some cases, it makes sense to just pay the in lieu fee. I mean, it's just for drainage purposes versus trying to do sidewalks. I mean, that's just
and we've
normal
seen
standard.
houses that are 50-foot lots where you have about a $7,000 tax, or fee, and then we've seen, houses that have a 150-foot lot, and all of a sudden it's a $17,000 in lieu fee in a street
Right.
that it's not possible the way the street's engineered for them to really put in a sidewalk. So it's a tough situation, I know, but like I said, I think it's taken very seriously by everybody on the board. And
did the council member, just by chance, did he put any notes at all on here?
No.
Okay, that's not surprising, but okay, well, that would probably have been helpful for most council people I deal with have been very responsive and do a great, and I'm not knocking it. I just hadn't heard from him. He could have sickness, old or whatever, but I just would have liked him to have written a note. This is just an odd scenario because you very seldom do you run into a situation where you actually have nice sidewalks. You either have to build them or whatever, and it would certainly, that's why I wouldn't have tried to approach this appeal.
What is your cost differential?
I got to look at it again now, but I'm thinking, $100 a foot.
I'm sorry?
Probably $100 a linear foot.
But my question is, what is the difference, just for our edification, what is it going to cost you to tear out and rebuild versus the in lieu fund in this case?
I think
I
think the in lieu fund, I don't know exactly what my footage is here. Let me see, I can probably tell you just if I can. It's roughly 100 feet, so it saves me $74 a linear foot, which would be $7,400, right? Is that the number is correct? So that's with building them. And I'm building a product that if a root goes underneath, eventually 10 years from now or 5 years from now, it's going to crack it. This is a pretty good, well-built, solid sidewalk. But it just seems to me, and certainly y'all need to hear these, and I don't want to waste anyone else's time, and I appreciate your time, but it sure would make a lot of sense in certain cases. I think this is a good one that I lost out on, unfortunately, but it happens, that maybe you could, and I know you guys have limited what you got to do with it, and I appreciate your support, and you guys all here listening to my case, but it would make a lot of sense to lower the in lieu fee below the cost to build on a granted large contracts with different contractors in the city that the government chooses. I think all of just developers and builders would be appreciative of paying, even though it's costly, maybe $50 a linear foot, and they negotiate that deal, and then you take the slush fund of all the money and go do a street at a time. But, that's one man's opinion, right? I appreciate you guys' time.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
But I think the hearing is still.
Yeah, we still, are you withdrawing your case, or do you?
Well, I mean, you're doubling down on the same deal, so if you want to vote it through and just pass it, however you just do what you need to do.
Okay, anything else to add?
No, sir.
Okay, close the public hearing. Discussion.
I'll make the same motion, and I'll note that I appreciate your insight and discussion, because a lot of times we're only dealing with the up or down information, and the numbers do get fuzzy, and it's nice to have some insight into that, so we appreciate that. But I'll make the same motion.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second? Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none. Oh,
Well, I would just only say, I think we're in a situation where the council this is what the council has given us, just like Mr. Taylor said. And if the council person is not willing to come down here and say to us, there's a reason why we should waive the in lieu fee as opposed to planning's recommendation, I think typically what is going to happen is people in your situation are going to be having to decide, are you going to build the sidewalk or pay? But thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-1. Bill?
Hey, Mike, wait for me out there about a minute. Okay, calling the next case, 2018-020. This is Gary Wisniewski, appellant and OIC, 1001 Summit Avenue. Owner of the property located at 1001C Summit Avenue, requesting a variance from the sidewalk requirements in the R6A district to construct two-family residences without construction of an updated sidewalk. This is referred to the board under 172120. The appellants allege that the board would have jurisdiction under 174180B. Is the applicant appellant here? Seeing none.
Do we want to just roll it one meeting and see if they show up, or board member? Is this your case? Oh, opposition, okay. That matters too. So, board members, we have one person who was able to find on nashville.gov where the BZA is and our agenda that is posted, and you could watch our previous meetings for the last 4 or 5 years on the Metro Nashville Network. Fun, entertaining meetings, but so we don't have the applicant here, and we have someone in opposition. So what do you want to do? Normally, we give them another chance, but
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
if we deny it, they could come back and apply and spend money.
I wish there were a way we could take her testimony or her.
Our rules do not allow that.
I know.
We allow her to submit an email.
We should submit an email, but she came down here. She took time out of her valuable day to be in the Sunny West room here.
She could also write a note by hand and submit it to our secretary today, could she not?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to, I don't know, I'm not thinking about the rules, but it seems like fair to me to, if she wanted to to testify, and if they showed up before the end of the meeting, and we could have them, I mean, we just open it up again. I just don't know what to do if somebody comes down here,
So
takes the time to come down here.
Is this an issue of our rules? Because we can suspend
it's-
our rules.
Well, no, it's really the issue whether we defer this case and give this person another chance to come down here, or we call the case, they're not here, someone in opposition's here, do we just deny it because they're not here, and they could refile and pay money again? And this isn't this is to construct 2 single-family houses, so this is not like some small deal. So if you want to come in front of us to build 2 houses, you should be here or send someone here.
I agree.
I say we just, okay, then let's vote on it.
Okay? Do I have a motion?
But we're voting with without her being able to speak, or
Well, we're voting basically to just,
to defer? or-
to not hear the case because they didn't show up. That's what we're voting on. And they'll have to refile. We're not voting on the merits of the case, we're just voting, since they're not here, should we just deny it because they didn't show up?
I mean, I think don't we normally just defer these?
Well, normally we do, but there's someone here in opposition. We still can defer it, but that's board members. What do you want to do?
This is another one, again, I'd like to hear, but there's a sidewalk variance that already has a 4-foot sidewalk and a 2-foot grass strip, and they're saying that should be enough. And so it's, to me, and I don't know what the opposition is. It may be to the sidewalk. It might be, she may not like the fact that there's 2 houses going up where one is. I mean, we haven't given her an opportunity to speak, so, and I think you should be here when you're supposed to be here, I get that, but
We typically would defer these a meeting. That's what we've typically done in the past.
Yep.
Is defer these.
So,
It's early in the day. We've not been sitting here 5 hours as we are many times. So I would tend to say, I would make a motion that we defer at one meeting.
okay. Motion has been made. Is there a second?
second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Discussion.
So we decided we can't take her testimony today? We can't suspend our,
Well, I mean,
I don't think it would be,
it wouldn't be proper?
I think we might get into some legal fuzziness.
let's ask our
Does it
lawyer.
feel right?
I think that in order to do that, you would have to vote to suspend your rules and probably state the circumstances. I mean, the rules allow for you to suspend your rules in extraordinary circumstances, so I think you would need to clarify what those are. Otherwise, the rules do say, set forth how the hearings occur.
I don't think this is extraordinary circumstances.
And I also, I don't think it would, I understand, my instinct is I'd like to hear what she has to say, but she also does not have the benefit of hearing the case. There might be something presented that she is in further opposition to, or it might be clarifying.
But as you also said, she can send us a letter, send us an email, and her opposition to, and of course, come back. And the other thing that we can do, as we normally do, and we'll remind John Michael when he returns, is this could be near the top of the agenda. So if we do have a kind of 4, 5, 6 hour BCA meeting, she at least not sitting through a bunch of other cases.
Right, so we're in discussion, right? We have
Yep.
a motion and a second.
So any more discussion? Okay, the motion to defer this one meeting near the top of the agenda. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose. Passes unanimously.
So thank you for coming down. We're sorry this happens, but please feel free to submit an email or something in writing if you can't come back, and we.
Okay, let's talk about auditing procedure and the legal. I'm here, he's not here.
Ma'am, the case has been heard and decided.
Excuse me, I heard what you said, I heard what he said, and as a citizen, taxpaying citizen, I can speak. Thank you, and we will follow this up, and I'll watch for my next letter. This is not
You won't get a letter. You'll just, so to,
the letter the first time, I'm sure I will get the second time. I am birthday.
okay, we'll have our next meeting 2 weeks from today, same room, same time.
Well, it may not be my schedule, and if I'm not here, I'll accept the same thing as the first.
Okay.
Okay, calling the next case, case 2018-024, Jeffrey Hardwick, appellant, and Jeffrey Hardwick, owner of the property located at 913 Phillips Street, requesting an Item A appeal challenging the zoning administrator's denial of a short-term rental permit. Applicant operated prior to obtaining the legally required permits, referred to the board under 1716-250E. The appellants allege the board would have jurisdiction under 1740-180A. Is there anyone here in opposition to this case? Seeing none, the applicant will then have 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
There
Is there opposition? Okay, there is opposition. Okay.
And I like our new little map that shows the footprint of our new state museum already there. Very good. So, Mr. Herbert.
Map shows the pink area that's in consideration. There's an overhead photograph of the subject property and a close-up of the subject property. And that's it.
Mr. Hardwick?
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Jeff Hardwick. I come today, ask a little bit of lenience. When I went to the Metro Codes upon receiving the letter, telling me exactly the permit I needed, and then going to meet with them, that I guess the first thing I should say is I understand ignorance is never a defense in any sort of legal or policy type procedure, but that's pretty much all I have. I bought this house about a year and a little bit more ago. I live in Florida, and it took me about 3-4 months to find a job. Pharmacist at Dickerson Pike Walmart. So I've been in Nashville about a year. I love the area. I was under the wrong impression about the permitting and Airbnb was non-owner occupied, people speculating and renting and building and renting. Now, I should have done my due diligence and investigated a little bit more, so I don't have much of an excuse. I rent this house out on weekends when I go to football games or whatever. The supplemental income has been a big help. I've still got about $80 of $140,000 in student loans. So I don't really have any excuse except I just come to ask for leniency on the 1-year ban.
So
I would like to say, after meeting with them and seeing the proper process, I was happy to find out, or pleased that I, before going to apply a permit, before I started renting it out illegally a year ago, I did go to my adjacent neighbors and make sure that was happy with them to be considerate of their wishes to. I'm sorry, Mr. Harper.
So give us the rundown. Like after you got the notice, did you have any bookings that you had to cancel?
I think I got it in December, around December. Canceled one in January.
Did you accept any bookings?
Did you cancel all of them?
There is one coming up actually this weekend that is a relative of mine that I didn't cancel, but it hasn't been rented since December when I got the letter. Or
Are there any others? So you cancel the others, but not somebody that's a relative? Why?
Because they're a relative.
But we have laws.
Yeah, well.
And so it's one thing you argued, okay, ignorance, but then when you found out, you didn't want to cancel your relative.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mac, this is one of yours. So this is our enforcer. Mac, tell us about this case, how you heard about it, and if there are any other non-permitted violations or complaints.
No, sir, there are no other complaints associated with it. It was actually identified through host, and the letter was generated in that fashion. And the validation page shows that the letter was sent on December the 1st, estimated to have been received on the 9th of December. The advertisement came down on the 23rd of December. There were no documented stays in the month of December. There were a total of 19 documented stays prior to the receipt of the letter, none after, and the ad has not resurfaced in the interim.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions for Mac?
I made my amends with or not amends, but immediately went and paid my past collections. I paid a penalty on my own volition. They said it wasn't necessary, but I paid that. And yeah, I do understand about the upcoming rental, but I did, as you said, immediately remove it, cancel things. I know that doesn't
And
look
this
good.
is your house? You live here?
Yes, sir. It's my primary residence. I live there full time.
So, and you knew you were coming in front of us on Thursday, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, and so you also knew that because of this violation over here, you're suspended for a year from renting this house. And so how does that math add up that you can rent it the weekend whether someone's related to you or not?
Excuse me. What did he say? I'm sorry.
They must be in-laws. You're charging your family.
So,
My mother-
seriously, I mean, okay, we get the, oh, I didn't know, but when you did know, there's this one rental that's still laying out there. Explain that.
I guess I have no excuse or no rebuttal.
Okay, other questions? You live in the house, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No, sir.
Okay, close the public hearing. Discussion. Oh, there's opposition, that's right. Opposition, but you'll have rebuttal time. We're going to hear from the opposition. Please come forward, state your name, your address, and your reason for opposing this case.
My name is Bobby Gaines. I live at 1040 9th Avenue North.
Why are you here today?
Short-term rentals in the neighborhood around me have become a problem. I'll wake up and go outside. There's beer cans thrown in the bushes. I have two of them right across the alley adjacent to me.
Are you close to this house?
Yes, sir. I received the letter and I'm within 600 feet. I believe I live directly down at the T intersection of Phillips and 9th Avenue.
Okay. So is there something specific to this house that you're opposed to, or just in general, the short-term rental?
Not the in general short-term rental. It's the kind of, I realize ignorance is that you make a mistake and that happens, but if I'm understanding this correctly, getting to continue to operate one when last time I checked the website, there are no more licenses available in our neighborhood. I just did not think that was fair to gain a license because you claimed ignorance.
Well, he had a license, or I guess he did not have a license. He rented without a license, and now he's trying to say, okay.
Well, and there's no limit on these.
These are
on these
non-owner
particular
occupied, yeah.
permits.
On these, there's not.
Not on homeowners.
If you live in the house, which is owner occupied, there's not a cap. So what you mean about the cap, that's if I own an investment piece of property, I don't live there, and I rent it out to people full-time. But if you live there, there's no cap. So, getting back to this, you're familiar with this house, familiar with the street. You just don't want it here because, like you said, you've had trash in your yard or nearby, and what else?
Just general noise complaints, people walking through, making noise at 2 a.m. in the morning. This is just not this particular one, like you said, but it's just short-term rentals in general in the neighborhood. And I don't, this is the, I don't guess I'm allowed to ask questions. Or,
No, we get to ask questions.
Okay.
Are there any questions for the opposition? We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
All right.
We're going to hear from the applicant again for rebuttal. You get to respond to what the opposition said. Okay, response.
I mean, just proximity. I can understand his frustration with rentals. I know that down at the T corner where he has been, and I mean, there'll be some weekends there, 5, 6 cars, 30 people out in the yard, beer pong and stuff. That's at the other end of the street, so I can understand his frustration for sure. I will say I haven't had any complaints from neighbors adjacent, behind, front. Yeah, it's mostly families renting mine, not your typical bachelor parties, but I'm sure that it doesn't make too much of a difference, but I can understand his frustration.
Any questions? Any more questions for the applicant? Anything else to add?
And this, when I mentioned I had people coming this weekend, relatives, it's not like through an Airbnb, a Verbo, thing like that.
Are you charging them?
Yes, sir. They're going to pay me a cleaning fee and like a couple $100.
Cleaning fee, that sounds like...
Well,
okay, so
I mean,
wait a minute. Okay.
It's essentially...
Time out.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I asked you earlier, did you cancel all your listings? And you said yes, except one. So this was listed.
No, it wasn't a booking through anything like that. But I do have people coming this weekend.
Let me
Family
ask
members.
our lawyer what the definition of a short-term rental is.
I will read it to you. An owner-occupied short-term rental is an owner-occupied residential dwelling unit containing not more than 4 sleeping rooms that is used and/or advertised through an online marketplace for rent for transient occupancy by guests.
So
this is
the
not-
question I have for our lawyer is if it's not used online or booked online, it was what he is said, which is basically I'm charging cleaning fee, it's for less than 30 days.
Not advertised.
What does that say about our law?
Well, my reading of the law is that it's used and/or advertised online. So if it's used but not
Used.
advertised
Okay.
online, I think it's still used as rented out on a short-term basis. I think that still meets our definition.
Yep, okay.
Gotcha.
Anything else to add?
No, sir. Thank y'all for hearing.
Okay,
The lady
close the
said
public
that.
hearing. Discussion.
Well, I don't want to wade into the relative issue. I mean, at some point, we all may have had folks that, said, hey, can I stay with you? And I'm going to take you to dinner and, give you a nice bottle of wine that'll help pay for the cleaning people to come. I mean, there's often an exchange when it comes to relatives. And so that is when I really, there may be an awful lot more of us that are technically renting short-term if we've had people do something nice for us. Although it's a little troubling in the sense that, did you stop? I mean, from that question. And for me, I've been trying to think about how do you streamline the thinking here. I know we haven't adopted anything as a group, but in my mind, I tend to think, of it, or we'll start to think of it in terms of kind of maybe a 0, 4, 8, 12, where 0 is the technicality and 4 is the minor offense and 12 is the most egregious. And this seems to me in that 4-ish, because I think that the back taxes were paid, I think by all testimony, everything stopped except for the relative, which wasn't booked on Airbnb. So I think at least there's some indication from the applicant that was viewed differently, but it was honest about it. So that's just how I'm starting to think about these things.
Okay, other discussion?
I just want to add that, and I agree in terms of the grading of these, but I would add, he started renting it. The law was already in effect. He rented it 19 times without checking to see if what the law was, if anything. And so, it makes it difficult on us when people then come in and say, I just want some leniency, and I canceled my Airbnb listings, but then there were people I still had staying with me. So I'm agreeable to at very least 4 months. I frankly think it should be a little longer, but I would defer to you on that.
Well, you know, we haven't talked about, you know, the gradient and, you know, how we might approach it. And, you know, I was thinking, 0, 4, 8, 12 works pretty easily, but so does 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. But all of a sudden you add another layer and it's like, well, what's the difference between a 3 and a 6?
Well, in a way.
It doesn't keep us from doing something in between. So, but.
Well, in a way, and I think we've kind of been doing that anyway. I'm not sure anybody gets here before 90 days or 2 months anyway, so there really is no 0.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, if we deem it completely innocent or understandable, or that's just a snafu, they're going to get 3 months. Right? So, in a way, that's kind of where innocence starts here is 3 months, I think, practically speaking. But I think I agree with you. I think 4 months at the least, but, you know, it's one of those situations, whoever makes the motion sort of wins the day, I think, so.
Maybe not necessarily. We've had situations.
There's only 5 of us. So.
Many motions. Does anyone want to take a stab at a motion? That being said.
I'll move that we find that the administrator did not err in his decision and that the applicant will be eligible to apply for his permit 5 months from the day of the notification.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion?
So that's May 1st. I think December 1st was when the letter went out, so May 1st.
Yep. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Didn't get to make a comment, but I'll say I'm opposed only because it seemed a little bit harsher than what we've been getting.
So you're not voting, so all the...
I'm just opposed. I'll just
Okay,
be
all those in
opposed for that
favor
reason.
signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
I'll vote for the motion. That's fine. I'll vote for the motion.
Okay, the motion passes 4-1.
Calling the next case, number...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Thank you, counsel, for hearing the case.
Next case is 2018-025, Laura Benold, appellant and owner of the property located at 2505 Eastland Avenue, requesting an Item A appeal challenging the zoning administrator's denial of a short-term rental. Applicant operated prior to obtaining the legally required permit referred to the board under 1716-250E. The appellants allege that the board would have jurisdiction under 1740-180A. Do we have opposition here for this case? Seeing none, ma'am, you will have 5 minutes. And Mr. Kivett?
Map of the subject property in pink there. Overhead shot of the subject property with the little house. Shot of looking from the street. And that looks like it.
Ma'am, it's all yours.
Hello. My case is really not so different from the one prior. I failed to get a permit in the appropriate amount of time, and I rent out a single bedroom in the downstairs level of my house, and am hoping to be allowed to do that again soon.
So you said you didn't get a permit in the proper amount of time. Did you start the permitting process?
No.
So why didn't you have a permit?
I wasn't aware of it for a really long time, and then my partner continued to sort of facilitate the Airbnb while I traveled. I was in Texas for a few months for family illness, and we just ultimately didn't get around to it when we should have.
So when did you find out about these laws that Metro passes?
I guess maybe a few months before we received the letter.
You found out before you see it. So what did you do when you found out? You were like, oh, no.
Yes, basically.
And so did you cancel anything? What action did you take? Did you start to get an application forward?
Well, I received the letter in the mail. I don't know if it was at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, like the exact date, but I think it was the beginning in January. And just immediately removed the the listing
Okay,
and
but
didn't
there was
have
a
any.
gap between, it sounds like you found, how did you find out that we had these laws, these pesky laws?
I have a friend that has an Airbnb as well.
Oh, and
So I
they
was
said,
talking.
did you get a friend, what was that conversation like?
I was talking to them, and they mentioned something about going through their own permitting process, and I was surprised to find out that there was such a process. And then,
So when you found out, did you start to apply? Did you cancel anything, or did you not until you got the letter from Mac's office over there?
I didn't until I got the letter. I was out of town for most of that time.
Okay, Mac, tell us about this and how you heard about it. What's the, any other violations or complaints, and anything else we need to know?
Once again, this was identified by host, and the letter went out on December the 29th. There were a total of 19 stays prior to the letter being sent. There was one stay after the receipt of the letter, and but it's identified by the review, which is not associated with a specific date, only with a month. So it's very possible that the letter had not been received at the time of that stay. It's a possibility, just to be fair. But after that, the advertisement came down. On January the 13th, there has been no activity since.
Okay. So did anyone stay after you got that letter?
No. Fortunately, we didn't have anyone booked, so that was lucky on our part.
You're supposed to say the better answer, you would have canceled.
Of course, we would have canceled,
Yes.
but I didn't have to make any cancellations, and there was no one that stayed.
Okay, questions for the applicant?
No, I just wanted to point out that I think we've mentioned host twice, but I don't know in this meeting if
Yeah,
that's
Mac,
a piece of software.
Mac, yeah, host, this is the Metro Council, in their wisdom to enforce these laws better than have been in the past, they hired a company called Host that has this software program that looks at the short-term rental listings online versus the actual applicants and permits, and tell us kind of how that magic works.
That's absolutely correct. They search all platforms that are associated with online short-term rentals. They seek matches with existing permits and also matches with unpermitted properties, which are illegal.
And they capture screenshots too, because we want to see proof from you that basically if you say someone's rented it 19 times, well, here are the reviews that says 19, right?
Absolutely true.
Yep. Okay, very good, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? Anything else to add? Okay, thank you. We're going to close the public hearing. Discussion.
I mean, to me, the only difference is that there was not any rental or questionable or whatever, and at some point in time, I would love for us to evolve toward a framework of, one of those
Those magic four categories.
Well, again, either 3, 6, 9, 12 or 4, 8, 12. I just think it makes it. I mean, even though there's some struggle of things that you think, oh, this probably should fall in between. I just think it'll streamline things and ultimately be a little more consistent and fair. And so, I mean, to me, this is in that kind of 4 range because there was that period of time where you knew, but.
I bet if you make a motion, it would pass.
I will move that the zoning administrator did not err and that the applicant is eligible for a permit 4 months after January 13th.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Bill?
Okay, thank you.
The next case is case 2018-027. Timothy Parnell, appellant and owner of the property located at 3921 T Garden Way, requesting a variance from the front setback requirements in the R8 district to construct a new 30-foot by 17.5-foot carport in front of the residence. It's referred to the board under section 1712.030. The appellant alleges that the board would have jurisdiction under 174180B. Is there opposition here to this case? Seeing no opposition to this case, you all will have 5 minutes. Mr. Kivett?
Shot of the map with the area in pink, and there's an overhead, that is it, right? 27? The picture of the house, a layout or the footprint of their project, and there's a front of the house shot.
Does that carport exist now?
Yes, it's already, it was erected.
Please identify yourself and address for the record, and let's get going.
Timothy Mack Parnell, Sr.,
Okay.
3921 Tea Garden Way, Antioch, Tennessee, 37013.
So we have information in our file from you, but just briefly tell us why you are requesting this to be built.
Well, actually, my children had the carport installed for me because it has become unsafe for me to go out into the driveway and clear the driveway and clear the cars of bad weather, snow and what's like a couple months ago it happened. And I fell a couple times in 2016.
It's not only that you fell, there's some physical limitations that you outlined in your letter. We don't have to read them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you still you had.
Yeah, we have your letter,
Okay,
so,
okay.
but I just want the board members to make note of that.
Okay.
So, and there's no one here in opposition for this? Okay. There's some letters. Okay, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, no, sir, other than the fact of the length. The length is because we have to stagger the two automobiles, because if not, we can't get in and out on without beating them, you know. The driveway is more narrow than it should back in 1994 when the house was built. But with a walker, and unfortunately, my doctors have told me that my problems are increasing rapidly, that I'll be in a wheelchair in the near future. So I'll have to deal with that. So that's why we made it that length, is so we could get both vehicles in there and kind of stagger them.
So you don't have any plans to enclose the carport at any point?
I'm sorry?
You don't have any plans to enclose the carport?
No, none at all.
And it's open on all sides now? It's just a roof?
Yes, it has a gable in the front where it makes it look nice. It's very nice. I thought they'd come out there and took some pictures of it, but.
Well, a couple of your neighbors don't think it's so nice. They say it's an eyesore and the only carport on the street.
On that block, yes. But it is a very nice structure. I mean, it was put up by a reputable company. It's not a cheap one by far, but.
And why did they put it up without getting a permit?
Well, my children didn't know it. I didn't think about it, and I would have thought that the installers, would have made mention of it, but that never come up, so I never.
Yeah, I'm surprised the installer.
I've had other work done at other homes that we've had, and usually the contractor would obtain the permit for like fencing and things like that. So, but by them kind of more handling it as far as paying for it, ordering it, and things like that. And I was a little upset with the installers once I found that they didn't, that they were required to, and they knew it, I guess. I don't know, they maybe did it, and they were out of Dixon, Tennessee.
Well, if they had tried to pull a permit, they would have run into this law, and that's why you're in front of us, because you can't construct this the way it is, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what because of the letters from the neighbors and that it's so close, I think it's 2.5 feet from your front setback, and it's supposed to be, 38?
Well, my house is not even 38.
Is it 38 or 30? I can't read him much without my glasses. But it's dramatically violating the setback, and I certainly understand your physical needs for it, and I appreciate it in terms of like the hardship for the carport is one, again, especially I'm struggling with, although,
Can I ask you a question? And do you have a handicap parking sticker?
Yes, I do. A permanent one.
Okay, thank you.
And I have two of them, actually, one for both vehicles.
What is the required setback?
I believe it's 38 feet.
Okay. And these actually 2.5? Okay.
Anything else to add? Any other questions? Okay,
Well, I did just want to ask, is there any way to structure this so that it is not, your neighbors are opposed just to the way it looks, and I'm not questioning, since we don't know what it looks like, is there any way to structure it or turn it or make it where it is less intrusive in your front yard?
No, the only side of the house, of course, that would be beside the driveway, that part of the side of the house. There is a NES phone pole with these big guidelines that anchor into the ground. Sure. And,
Okay.
and then the way my backyard is configured, and the water company came through and done some work in the back and made it's just not possible to get a car around it,
Right.
So it had to be in the driveway. I just didn't. No, none of my neighbors had said anything. I had several neighbors that come over there and ask, how much to pay for it, where'd you get it at? They liked it. I never had any of them come to me and said anything negative about it.
We just have some letters in our record where people had written saying, that they wish that the codes were followed and that kind of thing.
And can you go back to the picture of the front of the house? So that on the right over here, one of your neighbors says that was a garage that you closed in. Is that true?
No, I didn't close it in. It was closed in when I bought it. They had
when you bought it, it was already
They made it a bonus room.
Okay, gotcha.
And I would have rather had a two-car garage.
Okay. Gotcha.
And there's a lot of homes on that street that had that very same thing. And those were the people that approached me and asked me, where did you get the carport and how much it cost?
Sure.
They were because they have no place to put their vehicles out of the weather.
Because, someone else had already done it. Okay. Any other questions?
There's a picture of the car protection.
And so
It's a slightly newer picture coming around.
and you own this house, correct?
I'm buying it, yes. Yeah.
Wait,
I paid mortgage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's your home, but you have a mortgage on it.
Yes.
none of us really own our house, do we? Not all of it.
No. But there is many carports in the areas that I had to deliver these letters for the codes. Hamilton Creek Road, they have several of the same style of carports, and I put reflectors on the outside post. I mean, it's.
We were just passed around a picture that showed what the carport looks like. So, does anyone have any questions based on seeing a picture of what it looks like?
Well, I still don't quite understand the need for having such a large carport. You mentioned something about pulling cars around each other. Can you explain that to us one more time?
Having to stagger them when we park them. One up here and one kind of back here away from her back door, because the doors will, bang into one of the cars, especially when I'm trying to get my devices in or out. And like I said, unfortunately, it'll soon be a wheelchair. I'll deal with that when that comes. But that's the reason for the length of the carport opposed to having it a little shorter, is because that's how we planned it out. Because even before put the carport up, we still had to stagger our cars so we could get in and out when the other vehicle was beside it. You see what I'm saying?
The concern is with scraping snow off the driveway, and that's why you're looking for this driveway to be covered?
Well, not just snow, but ice, rain. It takes me a few minutes to move and get into the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. Got to get the device out. And when it's raining, sometimes I just have to sit there and wait till it slows down, or either that or I just get drowned. But yeah, if you ever tried to use one of these things, I love them, but it's very dangerous to be on ice or with snow in one. I have not experienced what it would be like in a wheelchair. Fortunately, that time hasn't come yet, but it will be. I found it to be a great help. right away had put in. We had a couple of snowstorms there in January, and it done exactly what my children had thought it would. I was very happy with it.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. Discussion.
You know, we've had cases where we had folks that had physical needs that required, in some cases, I can remember a side setback for an outbuilding in order to build a ramp. And I do get that, and I think that there's some application here. I have a pretty serious concern about how close it is to the street, but I also have a little bit of that mitigated by the fact that it appears to be a very temporary type structure. I mean, it's almost one of those structures where you think, well, is this really a building? You know, I get it, but or it wouldn't be here. So I'm inclined to even, I'm leaning toward saying this is okay, but I also don't mind loading it up with some conditions that may or not be challengeable. I know we're not supposed to make these things conditioned to the, maybe not to the owner, but, or as that's preferred, but, you know, I really am inclined to just say that it could never be enclosed and that it runs with the ownership, the current ownership of the property.
I don't think we have to necessarily go so far as to say it runs with the owner rather than the property, which is probably something that can be challenged. But I think if in the motion that we cite that the applicant is permanently disabled, that is, and this is where I'll invoke the Herbert rule, the extraordinary, what's the term we use for that?
Extraordinary circumstances.
Circumstances, and I think that's the way we can get around that. And if somebody wants to challenge that, I think they'd be hard pressed.
Well, I think that would be it too. But I'd also think that the extraordinary circumstances relate to the owner, and I just wouldn't want a future owner to come in and say, I want to tear it down and build a home 2 feet from, or build something because we give them a variance. And but
with that in mind, is that a for sale sign in the yard?
Obviously, that was taken before while I was buying it.
Oh, okay, so your house isn't for sale right
No.
now? Okay,
No.
gotcha.
No.
Gotcha, okay. So,
No, actually, it looks a lot different, a little different what you're seeing right there. That's an old picture.
so,
Any other thoughts on?
yeah, what other, I'm in light to go along that follows the owner and doesn't carry over if the house is sold. And it can't be enclosed either.
I mean, I would have a different opinion if this were, a different, if this were the type of carport that, had more, that was really more of a permanent carport. I mean, this is a manufacturer. I mean, it's very nice looking. I'm not criticizing your carport, but it doesn't appear to have the permanency that others might that are attached to the home that, are integrated and tied in. I mean, it seems like it's something that you could put in and take out pretty easily and quickly. But it's really important to the applicant because of his disability.
Anyone want to make a motion?
Oh, Lord. Well, I will move that we approve the variance because of the exceptional nature of the case, specifically related to the applicant's disability. Physical disability, and that the carport never be enclosed, the existing carport, and that this specific variance runs with the current ownership of the property. And if that piece gets challenged, that piece can get challenged. But I'd like to just make it clear that this is just for you all, you and your benefit.
That's very acceptable.
Yep.
Thank you.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Mr. Herbert.
Thank you very much.
Next case is case 2018-028. This is Bellevue Church of Christ, appellant and Jerry Gray, for the property located at 7401 Highway 70 South, requesting a variance to allow a video message board in the R15 district to replace an existing sign with a new sign with video messaging. It's referred to the board under 1732-050H2. The appellants allege that the board would have jurisdiction under 1740-180B. Is there opposition here to this case? Seeing no opposition to this case, Mr. Gray, you will have 5 minutes. Mr. Kivett, do you have any pictures?
There's a shot of the actual spot in Bellevue. This is a overhead photograph. Red Caboose Park is across the street to the right. This is the sign that they propose. And that's the sign that's there now. Looking up and down Highway 70 South.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Herbert, what is it they're having to appeal exactly?
I'm sorry,
Why is it that they're here exactly? Has it been denied or?
Yes, yeah, it's been denied. It's digital boards are not allowed in this specific location, and the church is here requesting a variance from that, and I'll let Mr. Gray assert any other federal or state law protections that they may.
I'm sorry, I made you
asserting.
repeat that. If you did in fact repeat that, I was trying to read as you were talking.
No, it's all good.
Appreciate the opportunity to address the board today. First off, Bellevue is a religious organization, obviously. We care deeply about the community. What we are before you today is we want to redo our beautiful sign there in its existing condition with something that is before you have passed a cut sheet of what is proposed. We are utilizing the same base. It is the same size and sign. The difference is we are looking to do an LED sign that will help us with the outreach of our mission in order to reach those in our community. Bellevue is actively involved in our community with Red Cross shelters. During the floods of 2010, we were actively involved. We were actively involved as a Red Cross shelter whenever the apartments next door caught on fire. There are several instances in which we need to be able to get a message out to the community that is obviously appropriate in nature to let them know we've got a Red Cross shelter here, et cetera. We believe that this sign being able to be changed digitally will help us in that endeavor. There are also numerous times where the community, Bellevue Community Picnic, the Bellevue Community Easter Egg Hunt, things like that, we can utilize the sign to put that out, for public information, providing it is within our mission. The fact that we have several signs within the metro jurisdiction that are LED, we didn't have a choice but to come before you to request that this variance be given with the precedent that's been set, royal rulings, et cetera. We request your approval.
Okay, thank you for being here. I want to read a letter for the record from Council Lady Sherry Weiner, District Councilperson, District 22. She says, "Dear board members, thank you in advance for your time and consideration of this matter. It has come to my attention through a zoning appeal notice dated January 23rd, 2018. The church located at this address has requested a variance to allow a video message board. On behalf of the neighbors, I write to oppose this variance for the following reasons. There is no other video message boards in the residential areas in Bellevue. The only other video message board at a church is in the middle of a commercial district. A variance would open the door for other churches on the other two corners to also erect video message boards. And this is the middle of a residential neighborhood and across the street from a park, Red Caboose Park. While I appreciate the church's commitment to and engagement in the Bellevue community for the aforementioned reasons, I cannot support their request. Sincerely, Sherry Wiener, Metro Councilwoman, District 22.
I'm sorry, again, I'm a little slow today, so if you've said this already, forgive me. But is this the same size overall sign as the previous sign?
It is the same size.
This is like 8 feet, 6 inches tall?
It is the same size as our current sign. And essentially, if we could go back to what's there now, the sign takes where you see the praying for those affected. You see that is the area in which this LED sign would be.
What about height?
Same height as well.
That's 8 feet tall, but I guess you're measuring the base
from the base.
Parking part?
That is correct. Yes.
Will the sign be a scrolling sign or a flashing sign?
No. We anticipate working with all the safety guidelines. We're not going to have flashing, curling.
Well, there's a 6-second rule.
That's correct.
Basically, they're not allowed to do that.
That's right.
Will this sign be 24 hours, or will you have it off certain times of the day?
Well, we would anticipate that it's got the capability of being shut off at a certain time and turned back on. That's something that I guess we could definitely discuss as to whether we can shut it off at midnight or 1 o'clock, whenever it makes sense.
Midnight.
We obviously want it to run during the day.
Yeah, most people, when they talk about shutting off signs, it's usually around 9 or 10 o'clock, not midnight. It's kind of late, isn't it?
Again, we would be open to discussions in order to allow for the sign to be shut off and turned on.
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there are apartments across the street, or?
No, that is a church across from us. The Red Caboose is, okay. There you go. Believe it is Creekwood Apartments, the complex that had the fire, is to our west. And to the east, across the street, is Red Caboose Park. Across from us is another religious institution. It is a Baptist church.
So if we put a condition that that said the sign would be turned off at 9 p.m.,
that would be something I would need to go to the leadership of the church to make that decision. I can say that we would be interested in discussing a time. If we could get the codes officials the authorization to approve that time frame, that would be a good thing.
And you did state that this was, that you see this as part of your
It is. It's part of our outreach and our mission. That's right.
And how does, I guess, I'm probably going to answer my own question. I mean, you currently have a sign that achieves that mission, but this sign would allow you to do it better, is what
it would allow us the opportunity to change it as needs arise, as we have an opportunity to, help others.
I don't understand why that's any different than the sign you have now.
Well, for instance, with the Creekwood, that was something that obviously was unexpected. It was after dark whenever that occurred, and it happens very quickly. The opportunity for us to be able to digitally change that, there are only a very few people at our church that have the capability or the authorization, I guess I should say, to change that sign. And so they very well could be out of town on business, et cetera. With this sign, it allows for us to have that capability of changing it remotely if you have the right credentials. And so it opens up the opportunity for us to be able to do that.
Out of town. So, this is one of those old-fashioned letter or church signs that a lot of people have.
That is correct. What we are proposing has the opportunity for us to change it.
No, it doesn't take a lot of skills if someone's out of town to go switch that out, does it?
I agree. I agree. But, again, we, have a few people that change the wording on the sign. We don't just let everybody do that.
And how do you address the council person's point that you have two churches, other churches in the area who may well come before us and want a video sign, all in this residential neighborhood, which are otherwise not allowed?
Well,
Are you agreeable to those?
again, I can't speak to their reasoning or what they are looking to do. Obviously, from a standpoint of an LED sign, in my discussions with Ms. Weiner, and I have had discussions with her previously, she indicated she understood, but it's not her preference. It is the type. She doesn't like LED signs, period. It's a personal
I
preference.
don't think she says she doesn't like LED signs, period. She says, I don't like LED signs in residential neighborhoods. Let's be
Correct.
clear about that.
That is correct.
And usually, and it's not, I don't think, just a matter of personal preference. It's because it's distracting, it's disruptive of the neighbors, and, she might be, even, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but one might even argue that there's a compelling interest that the government has to keep them out of residential neighborhoods because it does create such a burden. So why would it not create a burden to the residents of the neighborhood?
In this particular case, you can see that we have a large area. We are a rather large campus, several acres. There is a large area that is between the sign and our neighbors. Red Caboose Park is obviously a public park. You have a church across from us that is obviously a church use. We have a church catty corner to us that is on the corner. Looking at that picture, it is to the left after the intersection. And so from a standpoint of visibility, et cetera, the way that the apartments are screened, the fact that you have a church across, it's not going to be a bright eyesore for them to see. And this sign also has the capability of being brighter in the daytime, and then it dims automatically with the photocell at night. So it's not the same brightness throughout the day.
And I think that, the reason we ask is that, many neighborhoods, my neighborhood has, I don't know that I can count on hands and toes how many churches there are in Belmont area, and some are just on residential streets between two houses, and some are on Belmont Boulevard, and their houses all around. And I think if every church wanted to do what you all are doing, then we'd have a neighborhood revolt. Whether the church had a right to do it or not, they may very well, but I think it'd be extremely disruptive to the neighborhood. So it's important to really, for me, to make sure that there's that this is not only a religious exception, but also that it makes sense from a community perspective too. That it's not violating the safety or health, or health,
I don't know that the city has made an argument whether or not they have a compelling interest in not putting or not allowing the sign. I think the only position the city's taken so far is that it's not allowed. And now that they've made the religious freedom argument, I think it would be up to the city or us to make the compelling argument, or make an argument that we, the government, have a compelling reason to prevent them from doing it. And I'm not willing to do that, and I don't think the city is making that claim. Are they, city? I'd make Bill, he gets paid more probably.
No, we're not making that claim. We're just saying that it's not allowed under the provisions of the zoning code.
As for the residential nature of this neighborhood, I happen to drive on this road quite often and drive past this church quite often. And for what it's worth, this is a 5-lane road. The traffic moves very fast. It doesn't have that neighborhood type, residential type feel. It is Highway 70. So for what it's worth, I'm just going to add that.
Well, and again, the point I'm trying to at least open for discussion, not necessarily, I mean, we opened it here, we talked about it here, and you answered the question very satisfactorily, is to make sure that, as Chancery Court and others, say that there is a distinction between an LED sign and other signages based on light and safety issues and that type of thing, that that door at least is not completely closed by any kind of decision-making or precedent, that this is the type of signage that does not have those issues in terms of the residences nearby, which I think you made that point.
Actual LED portion is 4 feet by 10 feet. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you said it won't be scrolling or flashing or anything?
That is correct.
Okay.
But why aren't you willing to put in reasonable kind of limits to the sign about it starts at 6 in the morning and ends at 9 o'clock or something like that?
We have leadership that are elders of our church that govern our church. I'm a deacon, and so that particular decision is not one that I can make without discussion from them.
Should we defer it until they get back?
I would rather not we've been working on this for over a year. We've shared with our congregation that it's coming. I'd like an action today, if possible.
Is there opposition?
Okay. Any other questions? Anything else to add?
I do not.
We're going to close the public hearing. Discussion. So this is in a residential neighborhood, and that's why it's in front of us for a variance. As the church explained, that this is basically replacing an existing non-digital sign, basically the same size, but digital.
I mean, I think they made a case for how it's important to their mission. I don't think that there's, in this particular case, the compelling governmental interest. I do think it's, everybody's opinion on, the state law can be their own, and know that it does allow churches or religious organizations a great amount of freedom to do things in areas where it might not normally be allowed, but at the same time, I think they gave good explanation for it. I don't know, maybe this apartment complex might be impacted by it, but I'm not sure that there's any choice other than to just say this is okay.
I think it's reasonable to restrict the hours of operation of this sign. And like I said, I would suggest that it go dark at 9 p.m. and start up again at 6 a.m.
I would tend to agree with that because I'm really not convinced that the change to the video sign allows them to really any further improve their purpose or their mission. I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, if you're using it as just a point of community knowledge, you can do that with emails and a lot of other ways than just relying on people that are driving by. And I think it is cause for concern for the other churches in the area. So I would be willing to consider granting the request, but only with the types of restrictions that Mr. Ewing is recommending.
Is it, and 9 seems a little early. I mean, 10-ish seems, I think that, but I'm not opposed to the thought, and it's certainly something that, I guess they could make a request with a different type of argument later.
People get about 8 hours of sleep. It's bedtime for some people. I mean, it's not an arbitrary number on my part.
I wasn't saying it was arbitrary. I was just...
but that's why I picked 9.
Yeah.
I'm with David, the other David.
Well,
one of the 3 Davids, but 10 seems...
I mean, for me, 6 in the morning to 7 would wake me up. So I think we may have different cycles. So I mean, again, I wasn't saying that to make a claim that it was arbitrary. It just maybe it was my personal.
That being said, does anyone have a motion?
Okay, I'll Move that we approve the variance request and restrict the hours of operation of the video messaging board to 6 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. in the evening.
You mean that's when it can operate, and then
Yes, did I say that backwards? Thank you for clarifying.
it can operate from 6
It can
a.m.
operate from 6
till 10 p.m., and from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., it has to be, the video part has to be dark.
Yes, thank you.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any more discussion?
Yes, I wonder if you would accept a friendly amendment that the sign, the digital portion of the sign may operate when the church is acting as a shelter in the case of an emergency, as a Red Cross shelter.
Sure. So if the church is working as an emergency for any sort of disaster or sanctuary for anything, or some special something that is, critical to the, like I said, shelter, if it's literally being used for shelter, then yes, the sign can be used round the clock for that. So to notify people of said shelter. Okay? Yep. Motion's been made, properly seconded, and amended. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Good luck. Mr. Herbert, we want to take a break.
Take a 5-minute break.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if we can call the meeting back to order. Calling the next case, case 2018-030, Richard Stringer appellant and owner of the property located at 3107 Ackland Avenue, requesting an item A appeal challenging the zoning administrator's denial of a short-term rental permit. Applicant operated prior to obtaining the legally required permit. It's referred to the board under 1716-250E. The appellant alleged that the board would have jurisdiction under 1741-80A. Do we have opposition here to this case? Seeing no opposition to this case, I'm sure you'll have 5 minutes to give your testimony. Mr. Kivett, no pictures on this one. We apologize for lack of pictures on some cases. We've had a staffing situation over the last couple of weeks, so we're doing the best we can.
Just a few pictures here, self-explanatory.
Oh, there we go.
Subject property.
There we go. Okay. Please begin, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is.
Please press the button so we can hear you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sue Ellen Stringer High, and I live at 3107 Ackland Avenue.
Okay.
Richard Stringer High, 3107 Ackland Avenue.
Okay, so why are we here today?
Well, we're in the clueless Airbnb category. Our house, we had kids, the kids left, we had some extra rooms. My brother does Airbnb in San Francisco. He said, you ought to give it a try. My husband started the permitting process and was working through it, but I wasn't really sure we wanted to do Airbnb or not, so we decided to experiment. So I just started listing the room, what I thought would be kind of an expensive price, and maybe not that many takers would come. We got a lot of takers between October and November. We hadn't listed it after Thanksgiving, thinking that we just wanted to kind of have that window and see what that was like. Then after that, we got the letter, so we realized we shouldn't do it anymore, so we took it off, and here we are.
Experiment. So how much money were you listing out there, and this, was it for the house or for the room?
It was a room.
No, your listing says it's for the entire house.
We did one time list it for the entire house. That was going to be over Christmas.
And how much did you charge for that?
We didn't ever get any takers. I took it off immediately.
And how much were you charging for a room?
$90.
Okay. Well, That's an exorbitant price?
I thought it was. I didn't expect anybody, to me, it would have been expensive.
Okay. So you mentioned your husband.
Yes.
You started the process. Why didn't you finish?
Well, as you probably all know, when you create a profile in the Airbnb website, at some point you are prompted to pay attention to your particular city's zoning or ordinance process. And so we had seen that, but when I talked to Councilperson Allen, she mentioned that, ideally it would be best that you wouldn't be able to list your property until you could prove that you had the permit. So you can push right through that and list your property without a permit. But we did that, but then I was looking at the Metro site and looking at what all was required for the permit and starting to gather that documentation together. So we did send letters to our neighbors. We contacted our insurance company, which said they were not going to renew our insurance because we were going to be renting Airbnb. So that's another kind of piece to this. So I have a file of the documentation that we were putting together. I was calling the codes administration and leaving messages, voicemail messages, and asking them to call back because I was trying to figure out exactly what was required in terms of liability.
They're just a little busy right now, codes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, complete congestion. Yes.
So you started this process? So help me walk through this. You experiment, your words, about putting some things up there. You knew that there were laws relating short-term rentals, but you were just experimenting. And then,
Well, I just wanted to, I pulled the trick. It's so easy on Airbnb, just like
they want to make
list,
it easy, of course they do.
And so I just kind of did that to see what would happen, and then suddenly we just had all these, people who were staying there, and we were like involved in it, and I think we didn't really know what we were doing exactly, and so.
Did you cancel any permits or any bookings in the future, or
I didn't have to because we had already just blocked out a bunch of time between October and November that we were going to do it, and then we weren't going to do it, and then we got the letter. So I would have canceled.
How many people participated in this little experiment here?
We had 10 bookings with over 20. Some bookings stayed 3 nights, for example. Okay. All between October 13th and November. And between Thanksgiving and October 13th.
So I'm assuming you got a letter from Code saying that
December 1st, I believe we got our letter.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when were you starting to put together your packet of insurance and
the letters. I believe I sent letters to our neighbors because you have your neighbors. You have to be contacted. Your adjacent neighbors. I think those were right before Thanksgiving. But, if I was to look at my cell phone records, I was calling codes to ask questions. I had printouts of all the required documentation.
So your council person is literally the author of our short-term rental legislation.
Yes.
And I mentioned Councilman Allen, who used to be my council person, probably sends out emails or blast in the neighborhood or a newsletter saying, hey, this is all the great things I'm doing in District 18, and we've got this new zoning law related to short-term rentals. You didn't see anything like that?
I never saw that. I actually contacted Councilperson Allen and kind of told her, because I said I was having a hard time with the permitting process. Because, as you know, with all the congestion, I came down here on one occasion just to ask a question. There was nobody really there to ask a question. The time to wait in the waiting area to see someone was 8 hours. There was no one to really explain the app that you can use to get in line and be contacted when your time. So, and I went back that time. So I came down, so I complained to her that I was having a hard time getting through to get the permit, and she contacted Metro IT, I guess, and so we had an exchange about it, and then I emailed the head of codes, I guess, and he allowed me to kind of bypass the waiting room, and so I met with someone, and that's when he said we were flagged.
Oh, okay.
The great thing about Councilwoman Allen is, I think she's working to work with Airbnb so that you can't
list.
That
so
would be
you
ideal.
actually-
We would have been a perfect
Or if you
candidate
enter
for
it in
that.
a zip code
That'd
with
be
laws
awesome.
like we do, something pops up and says,
That'd be
"Stop,
fabulous.
wait a minute. you
Yeah,
have to
that
vote."
would have been really great because there was no real red flag. When I hit go, nobody popped up and said, hey, don't do this. You're going to regret it, basically.
Or prove that you have a permit before you're
Yeah,
allowed to.
so that, to
Gonna
me, that would have
regret it.
solved
So
us.
do you regret this now?
Yes, I
operating
regret it.
without
There
a
was no
permit?
reason for us to be here and going through all this. If I'd gotten that, I would have totally not done it.
And we'd like to continue. We have extra space in our house. It's a little side room. It's private entrance, private path. It's very close to Vanderbilt and hospitals, and so there's lots of people that.
Okay. Speaking of regret, Mr. McBroom, come forward and tell us about this regrettable situation and how it's in front of us.
Well, quite honestly, the evidence that I have shows that there were no documented stays. This again was identified through host, and the letter was sent on December the 1st, and the warning was estimated to have been received on December the 11th. Listing removed December the 16th. Anything prior to the first crawling noted by host, which was October the 28th, there is no evidence that exists.
Okay. Any questions about this case? And were there any other complaints or noise or anything like that?
A question, just because I'm unclear. On our packet, it says this host has 10 reviews for other properties. Does host compliance tell us if someone has other permits, other properties that they're renting?
They will attempt to identify those properties.
Okay.
It is not always very straightforward.
Okay.
It requires a search of the host, which the information is not always complete.
Okay, thank you. So I would ask the applicant, do you have other properties that you're renting? All right.
No, we have, there's another room that we could rent. We rent, so I've been, there's room 1, room 2. Those are the only things that we've ever
You're
rented.
not allowed to rent to multiple people under one house, though.
Is that true?
That is correct. And that you cannot have simultaneous rentals, only one rental at a time to one party.
Okay, well, didn't know that. Good to know. Won't do that.
Don't do that either. Okay, any other questions for Mac? Okay. I'm assuming you don't have a letter from Council Lady Allen about this, one way or the other? We have not heard anything.
No, I
from her.
didn't print out my exchange, and I know that she contacted.
I mean, just whether she supports it.
No.
Okay. We do have a letter from a retired Vanderbilt physician, Dr. Danzo, and he basically says that he is opposed to kind of short-term rentals in this area. That, let me see. He says, the renters of this property have not caused any problems so far, but with short-term renters, one never knows what problems new renters may create. And again, I'm against granting a short-term rental permit for 3107 Ackland Avenue because it might set a trend for the conversion of properties in this neighborhood to short-term rentals. There you go. That's the only letter we have as related to your property. Anything else to add?
I don't think so.
So you had 10 rentals, you canceled them, you don't have any futures hanging out there or anything like that. So what have we learned from this experience?
Also, did you get a letter about back taxes or?
We pay our taxes, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what have we learned from this experience?
Should've gotten a
You need to
permit.
pay closer attention when you're plowing through.
Read Council Lady Allen's emails, too, about what's going on at Great District 18.
I do read those, and I don't remember her talking specifically about type 1 short-term rentals and the regulations.
Sure.
But anyway.
Probably newsletter talks about short-term rentals, given her neighborhood. Okay, close the public hearing. Discussion.
I think this is kind of, to me, and the framework I've been thinking of these things, and, kind of in the 0 to 4, range, and the fact that it was actually, that it was rented pushes it above, zero, but everything else was done, I think, in an exemplary way. And so, I don't know what your thoughts are, if anyone feels strongly about time served versus 4. I mean, to me, the 4 would start at Thanksgiving, which would push it to March 23rd, but that's, I don't know what you're all thinking about. I mean, I'm open to
You get
time
to
served.
make the motion.
Do you want to make the motion, or I'll make a motion? Okay, I'll move that the zoning administrator did not err and that the applicant be eligible to apply for the permit 4 months from the date of the application, which is January 18th, 2018. So 4 months from that day.
Oh, I was going to say November.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I would, since they admittedly took it offline in November, I mean, that's why I had said maybe set that back. They didn't rent, they didn't, their experiment had run its course, and then they had no other thing. So that's why, to me, and it was from, they said, October through Thanksgiving, and that's why I was more inclined for a Thanksgiving motion, which would still add a month from today, but it wouldn't be, because I do think this is.
So do you agree with?
I don't feel it's different than the other cases, that much different. But since we have a second on the motion, we could see if it carries, and then you can make a new one if it doesn't.
Okay, motion's been made and properly seconded. We will vote if there's no more discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-1. You are now eligible to apply. That doesn't mean we do not have the power to give you one of these wonderful short-term rental permits, but you have that blue folder there. Sounds like a lot of documents. So now you can talk to the same people that you talked to earlier that said you cannot do it, and now they have to take the application, and if everything else works out.
Of that particular date, right?
Do we have to wait till that date
Nope.
to go for the permit, to apply?
The
So we have
date
to wait
to
till.
apply is when?
4 months from January 18th, so May, I think that's May 18th. Is that right?
4 months, so yes.
May.
May. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bill?
Okay, calling the next case, and let me make this announcement again in case anybody's here. Case number 2018-33 was withdrawn, in case there's anybody here for that. Moving to the next case, and looks like perhaps our last case on the agenda for today. Case number 2018-32, Alan Bennett, appellant and owner of the property located at 9.
Before we have a question.
I'm sorry, we have one today, too. I'm trying to show you.
Was that our magic peak?
It's 2017.
Which is
Take it out of here.
Okay, going back to 2018-32, Alan Bennett, appellant and owner of the property located at 911 Jackson Street, requesting an item A appeal the zoning administrator's denial of a short-term rental permit. The applicant operated prior to obtaining the legally required permit. Referred to the board under 1716-250E. The appellant alleged the board would have jurisdiction under 1740-180A. Do we have opposition to this case? I understand that we have some support for this case.
Anyone have support? Anyone support it? Raise your hand. Okay, that's good.
And so being that there's no opposition, we have 5 minutes. Sir, you may carry forth.
Okay. Thank you to the board for hearing my appeal, and thank you for everything, all the hard work you do every day to preserve our great city. I love the city. So I'm very engaged in the community. I wrote some notes just because I guess I'm a little nervous. But anyway, and so I can provide some context and timeline. I love my neighborhood. I love Nashville. I'm very engaged in the neighborhood, including the greater community next door. I guess I'll just skip right ahead to regarding the notice that I received from the Metro Codes Department dated December 1st, 2017. I actually opened that notice when I returned from the holidays and from traveling for work, which was January 5th, the day after. And for me, the holidays include Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's, so I was gone basically for December. I was surprised to open that notice since it was the first time I was hearing that I needed a permit to rent rooms in my home and that I had unpaid taxes. Embarrassing, obviously. Never had done any work on my home that required a permit, so the codes department wasn't even on my radar. Sorry. I'm private, so I don't really talk about my affairs with people. So since opening the Metro Codes letter, I've taken every step to be in compliance with all rules and regulations, including taking down my listings on Airbnb, which is the only place I ever advertised, contacting Mr. Osborne of Property Standards to confirm that I was in compliance, canceling multiple reservations worth thousands of dollars, and which I was counting on to pay mortgage payments, as well as wiping out my savings to pay hotel occupancy taxes, which again I thought would have been collected by Airbnb. I'm a local songwriter, go figure. Of course, royalty streams have shifted and diminished significantly over the past few years, so I rely heavily on short-term rental to supplement my income. The last guests that I hosted stayed the last weekend in December, leaving on New Year's Day. Before that, I had guests the first 2 weekends of the month, December 1st to 3rd, and the 8th through the 10th. While I was out of town, I corresponded with them through the Airbnb messaging platform. Certainly, if I had known that I was operating illegally, I would have canceled those reservations like I did the others. Regarding the timeline for filing this appeal, after opening the mail on Friday, January 5th, I came to this building or the building next door and learned about the list. Once I finally learned how to use the QLIS system, it took me a couple of days, but finally I got an appointment on the 10th with the zoning examiner, Mr. Fraubat. I was under the impression I was going to have to pay for my appeal on the spot, which I later learned was not the case, but since I was waiting for a check to arrive that afternoon, I left the meeting with the intention of returning the following morning to file my appeal. However, that was a weekend that Nashville had a lot of snow days on both ends of the weekend, so I still continue to wake up early every day, which was fun. Join the list and make the drive every morning before finally having the opportunity to file my appeal. That Wednesday, January 17th, I just want to say at no time did I make any attempt to avoid being in compliance with any rules or regulations or to hide the business or income on which I've paid federal taxes due. I've gone to great lengths to ensure that any prospective guests would be respectful and considerate of my neighbors, actively discouraging house parties and turning away anyone who seemed like a potential risk. I did inform my neighbors that I was doing it. I've hosted 87 times with 87 five-star reviews. The other 18 five-star reviews on my profile were earned as a traveler, and I fielded not a single complaint from the community. I'm here asking respectfully for your most lenient judgment. I think I'll just yield from there.
Your council person, did you reach out to him? Does he have an opinion on all this?
I did not.
Okay. So, you didn't know until you literally got the mail from
Right.
Codes. Okay, so Mr. McBroom, let's hear the story of this particular house. How'd you hear about it? Is there any other non-permitting violations and any other information that would be helpful to us?
It, again, was identified through host. The letter was sent out on December the 1st. Estimated time of delivery would have been December the 9th. Given the extenuating circumstances based upon the gentleman's description of not being in, he did make it in under the 30 days, so a warrant was not issued on this property. As
What do you mean he made it under 30 days? What do you mean by that?
The letter gives you, it actually is an immediate cease and desist,
Yep.
but it tells you.
Oh, to take it down?
Yes,
Okay,
but
gotcha.
it tells you that in 30 days, that the advertisement will be re-inspected, and at that point, if it is still active, then.
So those are some of those cases that go to environmental court, right?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
So word to the wise of people listening on the Metro Nashville network, you don't want to go to environmental court, because if they find you guilty of this, it's 3 years, no matter what. That's their punishment. So, continue.
And the advertisement came down on January the 13th. There was one documented stay in January. There were 2 in December. In total, there were 87 documented stays beginning in May of 2016. The listing has not reappeared in the interim, and there were no stays after.
Okay.
If I may.
Any questions for Mr. McBroom? Okay.
That January was, that they left on January 1st, that's why. Just FYI.
Okay. So you got this letter. You barely missed it. Why didn't you do something immediately when you got the letter? Like take down the posting? He said it took a while.
I don't believe I called Airbnb. I mean, I don't remember. I don't know why it didn't come down till the 13th. Honestly, I called them to discuss it and
what
asked
did
them
they
what's
say?
involved. Truly, I thought it was down. I don't remember that conversation. I wasn't prepared to comment on that. I just thought that once I called them, they were going to take it down. But I did then go ahead, and once I kind of understood the levity of all this, I called them again just to make sure. And apparently, that must have been when I asked them the right way.
So you've sat through this meeting and you've heard this before. So this is our chorus. Our chorus is basically there were laws related to the Airbnb.
Yes,
and why didn't you know about them? They've been around for a while, years.
Embarrassed. Honestly, I didn't know. I really didn't. I mean, it's humiliating to sit here and say I didn't know, but I really didn't know.
So you were asking us for what today?
Well, truly requesting your most lenient judgment, if possible. I mean, I rely on this income for, again, I recognize, with respect that I was unwittingly, I was operating illegally, and but I'm asking for leniency if I could. I would love to apply tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm prepared.
Okay. Questions? Anything else to add? We will close the public hearing. Time for deliberation.
Did we want to hear from the people in support?
Oh,
or-
yeah, we'll hear. If anyone wants to
Did
speak
you
in
want to
support,
speak?
come forward. You've sat through hours of a meeting. Please come forward, identify yourself for the record, and tell us why you're in support of this application.
My name is Courtney Cannon. I'm the property owner next door at 909 Jackson Street. And I just wanted to, I also sent in a letter on behalf of supporting Alan. I just wanted to make the point to say that Alan went door to door to express his embarrassment when he was notified about this, and I thought that really spoke to his character and his desire to correct it as quickly as possible. I've had nothing but a fabulous encounter with the Airbnbers that have come into Alan's home. They've been very respectful of our neighborhood, and Alan has made sure of that. So we talk about the horror stories of Airbnb. His situation is not that way, and it has so much to do with how he manages his property. So I really appreciate that, and I'm hopeful that he can get back into it.
So you live almost right next door?
You can see my house.
Okay, so you are right next door, and so you're saying you're totally enthusiastically fine with this?
I have confidence that if there were ever an issue with an Airbnb tenant, I don't know really what you would call them, that Alan would address it appropriately. He's had the opportunity to do that in the past, and we really appreciate his thoughtful care of managing his property.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we'll hear from someone else. Please identify yourself and your address for the record. Why you're here.
My name is Lindsay Frawley. I live at 3320 Felicia Street, a different neighborhood, but I have known Alan for a long time. He's a friend. I can attest that I do know he was traveling through December. So I want to express that. I know that he is a songwriter. We work together and has relied on this income, and I know how well he vets his guests. He's talked about it for a while, and I also know a lot of people that live on the street and in the area and have no problem. I'm kind of speaking on a few friends that live in the area on their behalf that have had no issue with Alan and are happy about his business. So
We have one letter of opposition, which is a general letter of opposition from someone that lives at 205 Phillip Street, and they basically say, our rationale that housing is expensive enough for our community, for our community members without the price being elevated by people operating profit-making businesses using housing without the appropriate permits. So this person just in general doesn't like short-term rentals and doesn't want you to have your permit. So,
Were there any in support at all, any letters?
there was a neighbor, 908 Jackson Street, Jonathan and Auburn Embry. They say, we like this letter in support of Alan Bennett. And then they say, we attest that Alan, in addition to being a great neighbor, has been very thoughtful in his bookings. Though we understand the reasoning for the initial denial, we ask you to reconsider and grant Alan his request. So, very good from another. So to me, okay, so that's it. Any other questions? Okay, let's close the public hearing. So I just read a letter from an immediate neighbor at 908 Jackson Street, and then this person lives right next door. So to me, that is helpful and says something, but discussion. Well, okay, this is where so the council person didn't weigh in on this. We have one letter of opposition, but people that came to our meeting in support of this. You know, to me, we always kind of look at what happens after you get the letter. And we obviously want people to take down the listings. We obviously don't want people to put up the listings, but in this, whatever, we've been doing this for over a year or so, I haven't heard anybody that went to the neighbors just to kind of apologize and just to kind of say, gee, I mean, and I think that says a lot, and I think it says that a couple of people that immediately live next door, and of course, we're always going to get the people that just don't like these short-term rentals. So, that being all said, and there was no other support, so the date of the letter was the 1st. That being all said, I'm going to be in Mr. Taylor's 0 to 4 category, and I would move that the zoning administrator did not err and did not in his decision, but that the applicant be eligible on March 17th for his short-term rental permit.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
I still think that's too late.
Okay. 4-1. You could be dissenter. That's good. So it passes 4-1. You're eligible to apply on March 17th. Get all your things in order. Go down, as you've heard in this meeting. It's not just kind of walk in here and just easily get it. There's a lot of people coming to code, so make preparation and find out about it. So
Okay.
good luck.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Herbert.
Board members, we have a situation I want to bring to the board's attention. It involves case 2017-417, Grant Maxwell at 1610 Forest Avenue. We did not put it on today's agenda. We had it marked as no response having been received by them. They were here and said that they had put their responses in, and at this point, we don't know for sure. We'll take them at their word for that. So what we've done, and with the board's approval, evidently they've sent out their notices, but it didn't make onto our agenda. We'd request by staff that it be deferred one meeting, and that we be allowed to accommodate these folks who sat through here and hear them first on the very next meeting.
I think that's fine. So let's have an official motion that we hear this case first on the agenda in 2 weeks from now. Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's it. Anything?
And we did change our rules to let you do that at your will,
Yes,
too,
and
at any time, so.
So anything else to add, Mr. Herbert?
I think that's it, and
We're done.
we will
See you
close
next
today's
time.
meeting. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.